The other day, somebody posted in a Facebook group if you can teach tactics to 6-year-olds. And there were a lot of mixed answers. Some people said no, some people said yes, some people were angry that you were asking this question. Um, so I decided to make a video so that we can explore this topic a little bit more in depth and see what answers we can come up with. First, I want to show you how the goals and objectives are used and the relationship between these two terms, and then I want to compare them to how we use strategy and tactics in soccer. So, for example, here I have a goal, right? And I have 4 objectives that are going to help me reach that goal. And these two terms sometimes are exchanged as if they were the same. A lot of people think that the goal is an objective, but it's the other way around. Okay, so your objectives help you reach your goal. So I want you to remember this relationship between these two terms because we're going to use it later on when it comes to strategy and soccer. Okay, now in soccer we have this concept, this idea of that called strategy, which is something that's, if you look it up in an Oxford dictionary, it has to do with war and battles and coordinating, all your troops in order to win a battle. Now, obviously in soccer we're not in a battle, but we can come up with a definition that allowed us to use strategies in soccer. Now, I went into Google and I typed in, strategy in soccer, and there's a lot of definitions that came up. But what was kind of weird was that a lot of the definitions for strategy had to do with fixed tactics, corner kicks, direct kicks, indirect free kicks, throw-ins. Okay, but strategy is basically the overall planning that comes into effect when you are training a soccer team. So I kind of came up with my own definition of, which is what you see there, designing and implementation of movements and actions to be carried out in a game, taking into account the characteristics of your players and your opponent. Now, for us that we work in youth soccer, sometimes we don't know the opposition, so we don't create our plan, in taking into consideration the opposition, which that does happen, perhaps more at the professional level. Okay, now if you're taking any soccer courses lately, there's this idea called a game model. Well, that is just strategy. It's just a different way of terming it, okay? Now, what are tactics in soccer, right? If we go into the web and try to look at what a definition of tactics, it tells us that is the steps and actions that fulfill the strategy. Now we need to take that definition and adapt it to soccer. So I'm going to use the definition given by Theodorescus in 1997. Individual and collective actions of players in a team, organized and coordinated rationally in order to win the game. I kind of like shortened it a little bit, but you can see now the relationship between goals and objectives. So tactics, right, allows us to fulfill a given strategy. So now let's go into this idea. Can you teach tactics to 6-year-olds? And the answer is yes. Okay, but I think what gets a little people upset about this idea of teaching tactics, I think it's more the approach. But if you really look at it, when you are coaching 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds that are beginning to play the game, you, whether it's written or not, you have an idea of how you want them to play. For example, here my strategy is to rationally use a field space. Tactics 1, play in a 2-2 formation. Tactics 2, moving as a block. Tactics 3, to maintain shape. Okay, now what you are not going to do is sit down, little kids or girls, and pull out a board and start talking about strategies and tactics and you were going to move like this. No, the way you do this is through games, and you allow the children to discover how to play the game. But you are using tactics in order to achieve a given strategy. How will this look in an actual training session? So I'm going to go through a training session and how we can achieve these different ideas, so then the kids can start transferring this to a match game. So let's look at a training session to how we can achieve this strategy of using the field rationally. So I start with a warm-up where I put them in groups of 4 and I ask them to just jog around while maintaining, a square and, at different distances. That's just getting the idea of shape. Then I can go into a game of 4x4, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put cones. This white line, I will put cones here so I can divide the field into two sides. And the players on this side cannot go over to this side, and obviously this player is the same thing. And again, this starts teaching them slowly that you got to maintain a certain distance, okay, when playing the game. And then the last thing that I'll do is just play a regular game of 4x4, and again, asking them, to maintain distance while they're playing the game. And obviously, this is not going to happen in one session. You got to repeat this idea over and over until it starts happening naturally and without that much intervention from the coach. Well, I hope this kind of answered that question. Can you teach tactics, with 5, 6, and 7-year-olds? If you have questions about the game, you have questions about, how to teach certain concepts to your players, send me an email and I'll try to make a quick video for you.